Hey guys, this is Greg at dogsanddoubles.com, on Insta at dogsanddoubles, and I'm up at Poulin Auctions in Skowhegan, Maine, and I'm looking at some of the great doubles they have coming up in their Spring 2019 sale, which kicks off on March 30th. So stay tuned, we're going to go through these guns, and we're going to show you why you're going to want to check out PoulinAuctions.com and put some bids in. Hey guys, so I know I call my blog, I call my Instagram, Facebook, it's all dogs and doubles. And typically, I'm talking about side-by-sides, I'm talking about over and unders, I'm talking about shotguns, I'm talking about double rifles. But that doesn't mean I don't like other guns. And what we're going to take a look at next is something I've always been fascinated with. Growing up, I used to see these kind of guns in movies, I used to read about them in stories, and I've always wanted to own a pair. And these right here are dueling pistols. These are the genuine article, probably from about 1815. And at that time, if you were a gentleman, sort of a fancy pants guy living in London, you would have owned a pair of guns like these, and this is how you would have settled any disputes you had with anyone. If anyone insulted you, or if anyone gave you a hard time, you would challenge them to a duel. Typically, if you were in London, you would duel in Hyde Park. You would show up early in the morning with you and your attendant, some type of second, and you would bring these pistols along, and the two of you would take them out, load them up, and settle your dispute. Dueling was so popular at the end of in the middle of the 1800s that it was actually outlawed. So aristocrats and fancy people in London, they were dueling all the time. Military officers were always dueling, and they were always killing one another. So eventually, of course, it was outlawed. Not a great way to solve problems. Thankfully, we don't do it today. But it's still really cool that these guns exist. These guns right here, like I said, these are Blanches. And John Blanch was a gun maker. He was born in, I think he was born in 1784. About 1813, he went out on his own, had his own business in London, and he was building expensive guns for people, the very upper crust of society, exactly the type of people who had duels. And like I said, this box right here, this is the original container that these came in. You would have shown up at a duel with your box. You would have set it out at a table, perhaps had a drink, even though it was 5 in the morning, to settle your nerves. And then your attendant or maybe yourself would have gone about loading these. And what makes these guns really unique is, first, they are late period flintlocks. So these guns were made right about the time when they were making the transition from flintlock over into percussion. And the other thing is, you can see all the accessories this comes with, all the loading tools, all the little tools to adjust the locks. There's little tools in here to make the bullets. There's little tools in here to pour the lead to make the bullets. There's this right here is how you tap loads into the barrel. It's just really unusual. Basically, these guns are 200 years plus old, and it's like, someone put them away in 1820 and they've been sitting in a closet ever since. The guns themselves are just really wonderfully balanced. The finish on them overall is superb. They have these really nice details on them. This little silver band here. They have these little locks on for the hammers, and the hammers are locked. This locks the hammer down so the guns can't misfire. And they're beautifully balanced. You pick them up, and right away, I just pull that down and I can see that bead. Everything lines up. These guns, actually, it's kind of odd. People think that dueling pistols didn't have sights on them. Some of them did. As you can see, here's a front and rear sight on it. And sometimes dueling pistols weren't supposed to have any rifling in them, in the barrels. And that was because the point of dueling wasn't necessarily to kill the person or maim the person that you were shooting at. It was more to show that you were a gentleman and you were brave enough to settle your disputes that way. If you rifled the barrels, the pistol became much more accurate. So the likelihood of you shooting and of hitting someone and killing them was a lot higher. And that wasn't considered sporting. That being said, some guys did sneak rifling. There was setback sort of shadow rifling in the tips of some of these. I can't tell. I don't feel it in these. So these were still if you had these, the person who had these made for him was still an honest dueler, and his main intent wasn't to kill his opponent. You can see how beautifully shaped the stocks are. Great little checkering on the wood. Like I said, just beautifully balanced overall. And when you hold it up and look at that, it's hard not to think of yourself out there early in the morning, being called, and you'd walk your 10 paces, you would turn around, and then you would just drop that bead down and fire away. And hopefully you would miss, and the two of you would probably go back to your carriage and have a drink and laugh it off. So this pair of pistols, it's part of what's coming up at Poulin's. I think these are coming up on March 30th, but it's coming up in their spring sale. The estimate on them is $3,000 to $5,000. So if you've always wanted to own a pair of duelers, this is a great opportunity to get a set. And who knows, you might have to bid against me, because like I said, I've always wanted some of these. And these aren't outrageously expensive like most of them.